Nice of you to ask. I'll have another can of McEwen's. McEwen.
Well, welcome back to what is a very exciting game here at St James's Park. Michael, the whole thing's really gone bubbling now, isn't it?
Well, that's right. The crowd have gone mad, and let's be fair, Newcastle have played some stuff, one-touch stuff. They knocked great balls up to the front players and set everything up. Goddard's had a great game, and they've got what they deserve. They've played tremendous.
I must say I was very disappointed with West Ham. I think they came up with, I think there was going to be a stroll, and Newcastle get on amongst them.
That's what annoys me. The likes of Alan Devonshire haven't broke sweat out there, you know. I mean, they're strolling around, and little Wardy never started for half hour. I mean, really, they just started so casual. They've disappointed me a lot.
Well, Neil McDonald's goal, we needed a goal. We were saying, and Brian was saying in the commentary, how we needed a goal, didn't they?
Exactly.
And
what
came just at the right
great
time.
goal as well.
I thought, again, that West Ham never got support on the fullback there, Ray Stewart, and when he was beaten, there was no cover there. The ball went over to the far post, and there he was, a little header.
But that's what we want more of, isn't it? You know, I mean, that was perfect. As soon as that lad got the ball, I shouted, get at him. You know, I mean, when players do that, they get to that byline, they knock balls in the box, you're always going to get goals. And that's the second most important thing in the game, is to get to that byline. And they've scored 2 goals by doing exactly that.
Well, Peter Beardsley, for me, I thought, again, early in the game, was playing a little bit deep. But
yeah, we both said that.
Yes, but he started getting more involved up front. And in the second goal, again,
right.
they got Beardsley.
Great ball from Goddard again here. And he's done great. He just took his time and a little click back. And well done the 2 midfield players. They've been getting in the box, great positions, and they've scored 2 good goals. Headers as well.
Well, that's right. I mean, the Andy Thomas lad I saw last week scoring 2 goals at Chelsea. Right. And Big Ron was saying he thought he was always going to be a good little player, you know.
That's right. But he's a very positive lad, and he likes to get in the box. He drifts in those spaces. But like I say, when Beardsley got round the edge of the box, anywhere around the box, he causes havoc. I mean, and you know, he nearly scored there as well.
We're talking about people who nearly scored. I mean, Paul Goddard almost scored, and you have to feel sorry for him because when he got clear that time, and he's only got the goalkeeper to beat.
Great build-up, Ian.
It was a good build-up, and you thought, well, here it is. He's just going to pick his spot, and it shaves the post.
And like I said, he done the right thing. The keeper spread himself. He just tried to clip it over him, and he's clipped it wide. He's unlucky. He's had a great game, Goddard. Well, I hope he gets back.
I've just heard that he won't be coming back, Mick. He's seemingly had a bad gash. On his
one
eyebrow.
instance is likely to change the game. You know, if West Ham come out...
I don't think you can blame Paris there, Mick, because we've all gone into clashes like that. And
exactly.
Paris sort of turned away from the clash.
He looked after himself. Paris looked after himself. I mean, and we've all done that to survive as long as we have in the game, you know, and I think he just tried to get out the way, and unfortunately Goddard was a bit too honest for his own good.
And he was left.
He couldn't help himself.
Well, it's going to be a blow anyway for Newcastle in the second half. Paul Goddard won't be out. But we'll take a break, and we'll be back in a couple of minutes. Again. Well, one man I'm sure enjoying this match this afternoon is England manager Bobby Robson. He's talking now to Martin Tyler.
Bobby Robson, your thoughts on the first half?
Well, Newcastle obviously now very much in the driving seat. I mean, playing inspired football, I think. Beardsley's now come into it, hasn't he? He had quite opening period for 20 minutes. I was beginning to wonder, you know, what I'd come for, but he's now running the show in many ways. I thought the 2 young kids in flank position did very well for the first goal. Stevenson on the left, because he kept cool against Stewart, put in a lovely cross, and MacDonald coming in on the far post to head a wonderful goal, and that set the crowd alight.
How much of a problem is it going to be without Paul Goddard in the second half, whose link-up with Beardsley was so impressive?
Well, I mean, he was forming a very nice partnership there with Beardsley, and they were both doing very well together. He'll be a miss, but fortunately for Newcastle, they seem to have the right substitute. He's a forward, I believe. I'm looking forward to seeing him. Darren Jackson. He's a front player, left-sided. So I think that he'll just cope and sit in there very nicely with Beardsley. As I said, they're in this lovely position. You know, if he looks for the ball down the gully and they defend well, I mean, I should think Newcastle now have this match well within their grasp. They would be silly to throw it away at this stage because defensively they're doing very well too.
Tony Cottee also very much in your mind. Your verdict on his first half?
Well, he's been very well marshalled and shackled, I think, by Jackson, who's having a very good game. But he's an elusive little character, as you know, Tony Cottee, and you've only got to forget about him for a couple of seconds, and he can steal in there, and you know, put the game sort of in West Ham's favour if they don't watch out. But generally speaking, the two centre-backs of Newcastle are doing very well against McAvenny and Cotty.
Bob, thanks very much indeed. Let's go back up to rejoin Brian Moore.
Thank you, Martin. Well, there's the man who comes on, Darren Jackson, down for £40,000 from Meadowbank Thistle in Scotland, and he was telling me just before the start that the whole of the Meadowbank Thistle side are down here to support him today, so maybe they must have known he was going to come on as a sub. He's on. Paul Goddard, as you know, injured just before half-time. We'll see if we can get an update on that before we leave you this afternoon. West Ham now coming out. Ron Atkinson, where do you feel now the battle might swing?
Well, I think tactically, I think that Willie McFall will probably just put Darren Jackson in as a straight swap for Paul Goddard. I certainly think that West Ham have got to push their game forward and get more sprint support from the middle of the park. There's not been enough things happen from Alan Devonshire, Mark Wood or young Dickens as we said in the first half.
Now the crowd have raised their voices again as Newcastle United get us away at the start of the second half. In the striped shirts, remember, attacking the goal to our right. West Ham's throw with George Paris. Getting some boos because of that head clash with Paul Goddard. I think a little unfair in point of fact. Free kick to West Ham. The foul by Jackson on Cotty. It's gone on a moment or two after the initial thrust. And Jackson showing that he got an injury high on the thigh. And referee Keith Hackett having a quick word with Tony Cotty. West Ham's free kick. Devonshire. This is Gale. Anderson. Devonshire. McDonald, scorer of the first goal. And John Lyle, the West Ham manager, with Mick McGibbon alongside him, one of his coaches. Paris. McAvenny and Rhoda back. Paris getting quite a roasting from the Newcastle fans. It'll be quite a test for him, Ron, in the second half.
Yes, a little bit unfair, but obviously they've just lost their hero, and it'll be a test of the lad's character.
Well, here's Tony Gale. Mark Ward. Break here by Dickens, but Jackson's going across. Goal kick.
Brian, I think they've got to look for more of that. I think that's the first time in the course of the game I've seen Dickens get past his own strikers. If they're content to just sit in the middle of the park, as they did in the first half, then there's very little way I can see them getting back into the game.
Thomas then with a goal kick for Newcastle. Ball's header, won by little McCleary. Ball of fire in the middle of the field for Newcastle United. Ward, good little touch there for Dickens. Got McAvenny up ahead of him, but Roda's in pole position. Roda gets it back. And McAvenny being particularly well shackled by Glenn Roda this afternoon. But here's Dickens again for West Ham. Beaten by Beardsley. And now bringing Anderson into it. Beardsley's gone on the run, and Darren Jackson's on the far side, and it was Stewart forced to give away the corner, which Paul Stevenson will take. There's Darren Jackson waiting at the near post. Used to be a printer as a part-time player up in Meadowbank Thistle, now full-time here, of course. McAvenny away for West Ham. Getting it to Ward. Only Cotty is up in a claret and blue shirt. The support coming up from Gale here. And and the flag was up for a foul on Ward. Free kick to West Ham. Stewart with the kick. Rhoda and Dickens are way over the top. And they have made very few chances, West Ham, which is so unlike them.
Well, I think it's fair to say in the course of the game they've only really had the one with Cotty in the first half, haven't they? I think what has also happened, Bobby Robson made the point at half-time about the way Stevenson and MacDonald have doubled back and sort of double marked on the wide players of West Ham, Ward and Devonshire.
Hilton versus Darren Jackson. Dale to Stewart. Wharton. Stewart again. Creary. Stevenson. Beardsley. Cut out by Devonshire. Andy Thomas, scorer of the second goal for Newcastle this afternoon. Jackson. It'll fall this time for Cotty. Ward away on the right. Or feeding Cotty again. Now it comes to Ward. No, cut out by Wharton. Beardsley, stopped by Hilton. Really good competitive stuff and a lot of pace to it, and Newcastle leading by 2-0. Rhoda. Stevenson. Beardsley. Misunderstanding there between Darren Jackson and Peter Beardsley. And here's Tony Gale now leading the charge for West Ham until Creary gets in. Ward. And now Jackson. And Beardsley is onside, but Paris, with a little bit of acceleration, gets in there. Rhoda with a header again. Anderson. MacDonald. Peter Jackson. Ooh, funny old ball, that one. It's with Ken Wharton. Versus McAvenny. Again, Jackson taking no chances. West Ham's throw. McAvenny. Or Stewart. Ward had come towards him. Beardsley. That's the ball through. Andy Thomas is after this, and again Paris is there. Stewart keeps it in play, and it'll come back to Phil Parks.
I think that's one of the situations there when you see how well Beardsley can do when he drops off into a deep position, though, Grant. He's got a very quick brain. He spots people running through. And if you can get somebody combining with him like you have with Andy Thomas, then you've got a good little combination.
Still nothing going for West Ham. Newcastle's throw. To Darren Jackson, and this should be easy for Stewart to get it back to Phil Parks. Rhoda versus McAvenny. The flag is up for a foul by the Scottish striker. Two big central strikers, central defenders rather there, head and shoulders above the West Ham attackers, but Dickens with a speculative shot.
But there certainly hasn't been any increase in tempo or urgency from West Ham, which is surprising, actually.
No, I was just going to say, you were feeling if West Ham could score, the game would really open up again, but really at the moment there's no sign of that happening.
No, I mean, if you look at Devonshire and Ward, they're more or less playing as auxiliary fullbacks at the moment.
Meanwhile, Thomas with the goal kick for Newcastle United. Beardsley, well, no right to win that header, surely against Paul Hilton, but he did quite clearly. That'll be a West Ham throw to be taken by Mark Ward. Stewart towards McAvenny. Wharton, their longest serving player. Stewart crossing it in low this time. And here comes big Peter Jackson. To Darren Jackson, but will be Neil Orr for West Ham. To Tony Gale. Getting it back to Stewart. Now Knorr, and Knorr way over the top.
That's not his scene, is it, Neil Orr, scoring goals? He's basically the insurance man that should enable the other three midfield players to go forward.
Well, they're going to bring on Paul Ince, the young midfielder, substitutes in place of Alan Dickens. It'll be the first time he's come on in a league game as Alan Dickens goes off with a slight knock, I think. He played against Chelsea, did Ince, in the full Members' Cup game, his first appearance in the midweek. And there he is, straight in the action. Wharton. Beardsley came off the hand of Orr. It'll be a free kick to Newcastle. Thomas. Wharton. And here's Devonshire. Finding McAvenny. Look who's back there, Beardsley, to dispossess him and make it safe again for Newcastle.
Example there for any budding young player, isn't it? He's made a mistake and he's rectified it himself very quickly.
And here's Beardsley again. Now Wharton, as I say, their longest serving player, made his first appearance, in fact, Kenny Wharton, the little left back, back in 1979 against West Ham at Upton Park. Gary, Jackson, trying to get Thomas in, and it just didn't fall Newcastle's way, and now it opens up a little bit here for Devonshire. Inside for Cotty. It's got Orr available inside him, and Orr's let it run too far. Comes to McAvenny again. Devonshire once more, and they were determined to get that away. Paul Ince now. Ince again, and a goal kick.
I was talking to John Lyle before the game about this young lad. I've never seen him play before, Brian, and he was saying he's not too dissimilar to Dickens in his style of play. And certainly at the moment they're going to need players that can break forward and score.
Jackson, McAvenny, and Roeder gets it back. He had a really good game, Glenn Roeder. A West Ham fan, actually, from 15 years ago. He was born at Woodford, not so far from West Ham's ground. And used to stand on the terraces at Upton Park. But now he's been a real part in a Newcastle success story. Andy Thomas going in there. Darren Jackson trying to get in there. And Paul Hilton bringing it away for West Ham. Ince getting it forward, but Jackson getting it back, and now Glenn Roeder again for Newcastle. Ince once more. McAvenny. Ince played a good ball there for Cotty. In Neil Orr now, playing it wide for Mark Ward. Tough little character, Ward. Not easy to dispossess, but they've done it again. Wharton finding McDonald. Now Beardsley. George Paris gets the better of his man and finds McAvenny. Only Cotty really is up for him. There's a bit of support from Paris as well. Now Neil Orr coming in. And a free kick given to West Ham. The crowd not happy about that. They see a moment of danger here because West Ham might just pursue something from this free kick.
Yeah, as we said in the first half, Ward can blast them. I've also seen Gale bend them round the wall from here, you know. He's not bad at that, Brian.
I saw him in the first game of the season against Coventry when Grizovic had played absolutely brilliant all afternoon, and Gale won it for West Ham right at the end with a nice little dipper. Well, what can Newcastle do? What can West Ham do? Scored a couple of times this season, but this is Ward. Pushed away well by the keeper. And it didn't go out either. Now, is this caught Newcastle napping as Paris puts it in and Anderson gets it away? Well, a foul there by Ince. And it needed pushing away. Roeder with the free kick for Newcastle. Newcastle still leading 2-0 if you've just joined us. Team at the bottom of the first division putting up a really good performance. West Ham with the free kick.
Yeah, that's been the most impressive part of the performance for me, Brian, has been the composure of Newcastle. I must admit, before the game, I expected to see Newcastle just lashing it forward and chasing. Whether it's the advent of Goddard and Beardsley, two small guys up front where they've got to knock quality balls in. But they've certainly played some very, very good football.
Jackson. Roeder. Beardsley. Roeder again. Jackson telling him to put it back to Martin Thomas. Just getting a touch. Darren Jackson, the substitute, on for Paul Goddard, if you just joined us, who had a nasty clash of heads with George Paris just before half-time. Thomas going in. And now West Ham with McAvenny. Desperately needing to get back into this game. And McAvenny brought down, but no foul given. McCreary making a good clean and a clear challenge. And again, the referee playing the advantage as Beardsley goes down. It's with Devonshire. Mighty Wards. Challenged by Wharton was swift. And Newcastle get the throw.
Just thinking there, Brian, I don't ever think I see David McCreary play a bad game. He must have sprinted back 30 yards there to make a tremendous back tackle. It's one of those unsung players, isn't he, that people don't notice, and yet it makes life difficult for people to play against him.
Again by Stevenson, this time it's out of play. Just getting in a bit of a muddle there. Devonshire couldn't get it through to Cotty. Anderson's had a fine game at right back as well for Newcastle. Devonshire. Stopped that time by Roeder. Now Beardsley putting it wide to McDonald. Jackson. played in again for Darren Jackson. Turning into the path once again of Andy Thomas. Good move by Newcastle United.
Brilliant build-up again, Brian. Wasn't it? Great little ball in from the right full-back Anderson. Nice little turn back from the new lad, and Andy Thomas might have been on the sheet again.
This is Darren Jackson. It was a lovely little touch inside, a perfect one there for Thomas. Just had to readjust slightly, and it was enough to put it wide. Peter Beardsley, in goes McCreary. Beardsley coming back again, inspiring everybody around him at the moment. Paul Stevenson. Ray Stewart a long way away towards Cotty, but again it's cut off by Roeder. In comes Hilton, or Devonshire. Ince will come for Devonshire again. Wide this time for Ward. Or Ince. Paris. And a free kick for the foul by Cotty on Glenn Roeder. Of the second half gone. Newcastle still leading by those two first half goals from Neil MacDonald and Andy Thomas. Beardsley, Hilton. Now Paul Stevenson, the man who made the first goal. Peter Beardsley, the man who made the second goal. And still with Beardsley, trying to thread it through. To applaud Beardsley, but I think it was probably Darren Jackson who got the touch, and it's 3-0. What a great little run here by Beardsley. Hurdling past one. And into the back of the net.
I think Brian here has done fantastic as Peter Beardsley. I think when he gets to this particular point, I thought he might have done better with his cutback. But it's just, he stabbed it home. What a good start for the kid.
So now 3-0 with Darren Jackson having made the third strike after great work by Peter Beardsley. Feel there's no way back, but just look at the delight that's brought to people on the far side of the ground there. All around this place at the moment, there are people in black and white scarves singing and congratulating each other and chanting and cheering. There haven't been many days like that, if any, this season. Oh, now McAvenny in trouble with Roeder, and the referee across very quickly to intervene. And McAvenny could be in serious trouble here. It's a bad day for West Ham, and it could become worse. But the referee has just told him to get out of the way, and it looks as though no action will be taken. The referee having a long word with Glenn Roeder as well. But in the end, no action. Beardsley to Jackson. And a free kick given to Newcastle. With about 22 minutes still remaining. Beardsley, Stevenson, Jackson still in the middle.